Hey, Guillermo.
Hello, hello.
Hi,
Can you hear?
hi. Yes, I can hear. Thank you for. Hello, hello. Yes,
Hello?
yes,
Yes.
yes, I can hear. Yes. So welcome to come back to our conversation, Guillermo and Lee conversation, and welcome everybody. Then today we are going to continue um, listening the storytelling from our Guillermo. So, so last time was you mentioned something about the secret monastery, um, monastery. Sorry, this pronunciation. Um, so, um, so now we are in the time. Let's have let's give a approximate time of the year and your age somewhere. It doesn't have to be precise, but somewhere let's give the audience a reference.
Okay. So now I am 47,
Mhm.
and when I arrived to this sacred monastery, I was 29.
And
So we need a
okay,
mathematician.
okay, and it's in Chile, yeah? Is it
29,
where
47 is almost 20 years ago, 18 years ago.
okay.
That was 2000 and what? 2005
Mhm.
would do, no?
Mm,
Approximately, no? We are
somewhere.
2024 minus 18, 2006.
It's okay. We don't have to be good at mathematics. Is
Well, it depends what you want to achieve. But I think it's something like that.
okay?
2006, I was traveling around. I separated from my friends. I was sick, throwing up in the road in the middle of nowhere in Chile,
In Chile.
and then at the north of in the north of Chile somehow, not up in the north, but northern from Santiago de Chile.
Mm,
And I was one of these valleys deep inside and lost. Lost, not that I was trying to find a location, but I was lost in terms of what to do with my life and everything, which is quite often for this hitchhiking style of life. It is long journeys that last many days and weeks. There are many moments where you are like in a state like the whole philosophical understanding of what is life, what
hmm.
is your life, it's in question.
Yes.
It, it's in the city is not so common, perhaps because we have so many social obligations, but on the road is kind of normal state of mind
Hmm.
very often. So I was there, and then I see a car coming, and then I hitchhike, and then the car stopped. You remember that I said that I had this kind of confession with the tree, and then I had all this
Yes.
talking with life in itself,
Mm,
establishing a dialogue and asking why I was so sad and why I was somehow why I was not. At that time, I mentioned it differently, but now I would say like I was trying to find why I don't find a place where I can flourish, something like that. Why I'm not, why I cannot find a better, happy life in a context that where I am needed or something like that. I would say like this today. Uh, at the time, I was sorry because I didn't have a girlfriend, but I think this was the real meaning of it. And so the car stops, and then I go up inside the car, and there are three girls, three young girls. They drive me, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes to some, or maybe more, to some kind of camping where they were. And they were these three girls from Santiago. And then, are you there?
I'm not there. I'm here.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not there. I'm
Sorry.
here. Yes.
Okay. And then they were they were really nice to me. They were camping in a place. It was the evening, a night, so I barely could see them. They could also barely see me, and already that idea, like the three girls would get a guy inside the car without knowing him and being in the night. was already like a remarkable situation because usually they would never do that, I think,
Mm,
because it's dangerous. But well, and they realized that I was super sick, and they had this very strong compassion for me. So they organized their sleeping somehow, and then they put me alone in one of their tents, and then I think every one of them, each one of them had their own tent, but they empty one tent for me, and I don't know how they slept, and they tried to help me, but I was really in a bad condition because I didn't eat anything in the last, I think, 2 days,
mm-hmm,
except for grapes. It was the harvest probably. Probably was around autumn there, which is
mm-hmm,
October. No, this is here. I don't know how when is autumn there. And I forgot already. But yeah, it was a time. So it was the fields were full of grapes, and that was the only thing I eat for I think around 2 days, and I got some kind of indigestion of only eating grapes or eating maybe too many, and that's why I was throwing up and everything. Let's say at the organic level.
mm,
And then they let me there, and in the morning they wake me up, and then have some probably coffee, breakfast. I don't remember pretty much, and then we talk. We talk more about who I was and what was I there and everything. Like all this situation was really unusual that somebody just decide to help you and then doesn't ask any question and nothing. They just try to get you to safety and protect you, and then tomorrow we'll see. This is a very old tradition. It's something that is not common today, or at like 20 years ago, but but it's like a gesture of hospitality that was common hundreds or thousands of years ago. Like
mm-hmm.
how to treat a person in need.
Yes.
And I remember reading in the books, like in the Odyssey or like in this Greek poems, uh, you would always get to this feeling that at a moment where they describe what is the protocol to take care of a guest, and it was always like give them to eat, give them to drink, let them sleep. Tomorrow we'll see. I don't know. I just describe a little bit in the extent all these details because they are
Mm,
important for the situation given the context. Chile
mm-hmm,
is a much more dangerous place than anywhere in Europe, so people are not. I think they are commonly not so
oh, I didn't know that.
hospital.
Yeah. Mm,
Yeah, South America is very dangerous, and even if hospitality can be experienced if you the people know you, if
mm,
nobody knows you, it's much more rare compared
mm,
to I don't know Balkans or Islam world something. As far as I hear, they are
mm.
much more into taking care of the guest,
Okay. Mm,
So this, and then I don't remember nothing what we talk about, but I remember that one of the girls said, "Hey, you know what? I am going to a monastery today."
mm.
So
That's
if you
very
are like,
random. I guess.
yes, it was like a storytelling. That's why I have this strange mind because many things that happened to me were like storytelling,
Mm,
stories from books and things like very unusual experiences. So it was this like she could be like one of these sacred beings from this Indian literature, where there's some kind of deity that is incarnates in a body just to help the hero of the story and bring them to the truth. She could the relationship with this girl, which was very almost nothing, could really match the storytelling. These specific characters that they are kind of sent from above to help the hero in his journey.
mm,
Uh, so this was this situation. Then next day I say yes, why not? I had never meditated before, and I had no connection with this Eastern approach to spirituality, which is meditation. And the next day they drive me to this place, and the two girls, from the three girls, only one stays, the others go, and they drop us both there. So I had like a Mohicano, I had like a shaved head, and I had
Mm,
only hair in the middle with a long braids or something,
mm-hmm,
and with flowers and flowers stuck into it. This was the state from where I was coming from, which was all this kind of goose talk traveling a few months with some friends, where I
mm-hmm,
was playing music and then playing the flute and earning my living by playing the flute with my friends who were doing juggling in the beaches in Chile. So after a few months of that, I looked like that. I had a shape. I had the moicano with flowers in the brides, and I entered to this monastery, which was a very humble place in a way, very essential. The buildings, and they were a bit resemblance of this Japanese tradition, and
mm,
it turned out to be like a center for learning, was some kind of introductory center for learning Zen meditation.
okay.
One of the two aspects. There are two
Mm,
different schools, and this was one of them, which where you look towards the wall. There is another version of Zen where you look to each other in the center of the room, but in this one it was about looking to the wall. And there are a few differences which I don't remember.
mm,
So I went there and then I spent 3 months in this place. Um, this was like a extremely life changing experience because I got the first acquaintance with this technique. Then the way we experience it there, it's apparently it was not so much about philosophy and trying to teach you about Buddhism or anything, but it was just a very strict methodology of how to achieve a certain state. So at the same time, everybody who was going to this center was kind of Buddhist, and they were acquainted with these Buddhists, and they were like there was a lot of discussions and conversations, and everybody was talking about Buddhism, but it was not the pro part of the program. It was like they were informal conversation. The program consisted in emulating what is called the life of a sangha. I don't know how you pronounce it correctly, but in Spanish we call it sangha, and it is the community around that is formed for the monks in
mm,
meditation tradition, in this tradition of Zen. And then so you have the master, and then you have some monks, and they are kind of in a state. They live together, and they are in some kind of state of constant meditation. We
mm,
were not forced to have such strict rules as in a monastery, but we had the same program of a monastery, except that it was a little bit more flexible because it was an introductory stage. Uh, so we would wake up at 5 around. I don't know what happened in the beginning because my memory is a little bit blurry, but I
mm-hmm,
know that I had eventually I had a role in the morning to wake up everybody. So I have to wake up at 5. I have a bell, and I will go with this bell around the whole premises,
mm-hmm,
waking up the people. And at 6, we were already probably sitting in this temple, meditating, and they were like meditations of 45 minutes with a small break where you walk, and then another 45 minutes. After that was a breakfast, and then there was like maybe 2 hours free time, and then it was community work, basically working in the field or working in some kind of project that was going on around this place. Then there was lunch, and again maybe 2 hours free, and then there
mm-hmm,
was the evening meditation, which was maybe 1 or 2 sittings. Every sitting was always 45 minutes. Maybe it was only one sitting. So we would sit 3 times per day and have 2 hours work. This was mandatory. The rest was kind of free, and people were socializing and knowing each other and falling in love, and going for trips to the nature. swimming in the river, all kind of different things. The location was in the Valle del Elqui. Is a specific place in Chile. Is one of the first valleys after Santiago, which is the capital, happened to be at the center of the country, more or less, from north to south.
Mm.
So you go up north around 500 kilometers, maybe, or say whatever. No, probably it's okay. 500 kilometers, and then you had this. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating. No, I think no. Maybe it's 300. I don't know. Maybe it's 500. And then you have a valley. Basically, Chile is a long line, a long coastline
Mm-hmm.
with the mountains all
Yes.
along. This is 5,000 kilometers country, and
Mm.
it consists on valleys coming down from the mountains and ending in the sea. And the width of the country is from 200 to 80 to
It's a
300
very narrow
kilometers.
country. Yes.
Very narrow and kind of the same, but because it's the same idea, but because it's going from south to north.
Mm-hmm.
In the south is like Antarctica, and in the north you have the desert, like in Sahara.
Mm.
So it is changing constantly, but it's always the same logic. You have some kind of field. On your right is the mountain, and on the left is the sea. This is the Pacific, and the country is constantly crossed by rivers coming down from the mountains. So every river
Mm.
creates a valley. The valleys are around 300 kilometers long, and there are many villages and few cities. Usually the cities are on the coast, and then you have
Mm.
villages up to it gets smaller and smaller until the mountains.
Mm.
This specific valley, which called Valle del Elqui, was a place where in the 70s, some kind of guru from Tibet or something, happened to say, hey, some energetic spiritual centers that they were in Tibet, they got deactivated here and they moved to Chile. And
Mm-hmm.
this master came with all his retinue of followers and then these disciples and something. And then he came and walked this valley and found in the mountains where now these energetic centers of spiritual, I don't know what, were placed. And he
Mm.
marked these places. And
Mm.
then he left. And since this moment on, a lot of people from Chile, from all the cities, everybody who has some kind of alternative understanding of life or were interested in spirituality, they
Uh-huh.
start to visit the valley, to visit
Mm.
this spot, and then many of them they just settled there. In the beginning, was probably just some shepherds or some peasants living in this valley, but
Mm-hmm.
constant immigration of crazy people end up creating like a very different villages where everybody was somehow into some kind of therapeutic or spiritual activity and everything you can imagine is in
Mm-hmm.
this valley. And in
Mm.
Argentina, there are a few places like that, but where in Chile it looks like that. So all the hippies and all the people that were like that from the whole country would at some point pass through this place or just go and live there.
Mm.
And so we were in the middle of the valley, the sense that we were at the same distance from the mountains and from the coast. And there, one guy who was a photographer of the National Geographic, some kind of rich guy, went one day to Japan, like 10 years ago, the moment I am talking about. And he was taking photos of the monastery in Japan. And he liked it so much that he just quit everything and he never came back.
Mm.
So he was just going there for a job, but then he never came back for 10 years. He lived
Mm.
there for 10 years with this Japanese monastery. And eventually he came back to Chile and he wanted to reproduce the experience and share it with the people there.
Mm.
He got some investors because he was rich family or something, and then he opened this place. And when we arrived, the place was something maybe I think it was already 10 years old or something. So it was functioning like a clock. They have constantly people coming from the capital, from Santiago, to practice this meditation. to learn, and then they have like few people that were living there all the time,
Mm.
and most of these people, or almost all of them, they were just travelers, uh, people that were hitchhiking or something, and then they when they meet it, they just stay there for 1 year or for a few months or for some. And I joined this small community of people, and we were running the place basically. So we have a master, which was the guy who founded this project. We had a nun, a kind of nun,
Yes.
who was this lady who was helping him to do that. And then
Mm.
we had this small community of crazy travelers who were interested in spirituality, and I like the specific approach of Zen meditation, which is really strict, and kind of ascetic in a way.
Mm.
And yes, I get integrated into that, and then I met a lot of people that I would never meet in my life. Mostly of them they were from a higher social class than I was, because it was a completely new context. No, like there are some situations where there is an activity that is happening which enables people from, let's say, a lower class that is just traveling hitchhiking without money.
Mm-hmm.
They enable them to learn this meditation, all these processes, and because they are open to everybody, these types of approaches. And at the same time, the common users of such a project are middle class or high middle class people from the city who are really happy to have a place that is always waiting for them. And they were coming during the weekends and come back to work in the
Mm.
capital. And then that was the life of this place. And for us was completely different. We were there every day and the whole day and all the time engaged in learning all these very complicated techniques, which are super simple, but it's very complicated to achieve in a way.
Mm. That's How long did you stay there?
The time that I spent there was the first time was 3 months, and I came back home. And there was I came back next year, and I stayed for 5 months. And all this timing is significant because at that point, since I was 18, till I was 29,
Mm-hmm.
I was traveling all around the place, constantly moving every 3 months
Yes.
for all these 10 years. So whether I was in the same city, maybe when I was in Buenos Aires, or when I went to Patagonia in the coast, or when I moved to Patagonia in the mountains, even if I was living in the same village or city, I was moving home every 3 months. It was just like that. It wasn't a plan, or it just happened all the time like that. Sometimes there were
Mm.
shorter periods even, but so the first time I also stayed 3 months, and then I left because this is a story for the next for the
Yes.
next chapter is the story of my house.
The story of
So
your
I was
house.
there in
Yes.
this monastery learning all these things, and then I
Mm.
got the feeling, like an intuition, that my house was in danger. And my house, it's a house that I built myself in Patagonia, like I don't know, around 2,000 kilometers from this Zen temple or monastery. And then I quit because I felt that my house needed me, and that I would lose it if I don't go back. And this was true. I actually took me like around 1 week to get back to my home, and I came to rescue it before my neighbor was selling it
Wow.
to another person. But
That's
this is the
very.
story of my house. This is something else.
Yes. That will
The
be
the other
the next
Yes, the next
episode.
chapter. The
Yeah.
important thing about the monastery is that
Mm.
I had my first encounter with Europeans.
Mm.
I became a friend with a girl from England, another girl from Sweden, no, from Switzerland, and it was the first time that I got in contact with these individuals that were not from Argentina or from Chile. No? These
Mm.
international meetings. It was really life changing for me to the conversations we had, and just the I was super curious about the lifestyle, and they were really happy to tell me the way they live. And This, and there was the moment where I lost when I changed from sadness to anger. So until this time, and that's why I had this encounter with this tree where I was crying so much about how sad I was my life. I went to this monastery, and from this moment, through this technique and in this experience, I lost the sadness and I access to anger. So I spent after this like around 10 years of anger.
Is it
And before that, I spent like 10 years of sadness.
so? So the so
It's so crazy.
suppose
That's
you're
why I'm,
supposed to be you're supposed to become more peaceful after the
well,
after,
actually, it's after that. Yeah, this
after.
the process from anger to compassion. It arrived here in Slovenia, like I don't know how many years ago, 5, 6 years ago,
Mm,
when I was reading Hafiz, and then after my divorce or something, I think. Uh, so yeah, basically, this is the
mm,
main transformation. I met one lady there once who says like you like everybody was like that. She came and said like because I was a little bit of a exotic character in there because of the things I usually try to do or I am doing. And then I was kind of also with, as well as the others, in charge of running the place. So I would enter in contact with everybody who came. At some point, I was in charge of distributing the tasks, the mandatory task that people had to do every day. I would talk to them and give them something to do, which was a very deep experience in itself. Like, uh, but basically, one lady told me one day, you know what, you have something in your liver, and you should be stop being so polite and try and go into anger, go rage, go express yourself, say everything that cross your mind, and don't hold up because you need to go through that or something like that. This is an old lady that everybody loved, and she was one of the regular visitors. And
mm,
I follow her advice, I think, not immediately or willingly, but somehow my subconscious absorbed this. And then I became, was the entrance in this rage stage of my period of my life, which I think it lasted around, yeah, around 10 years or more, where I was in conflict with the government, with the politics, with the country, with the people, with the parents, with myself, with the society for years and years and years. And it was very painful, but at the same time, it had some kind of healing effect on the sadness that I had for 10 years before that, prior to that. So it was a process,
mm, hmm,
a necessary process. And then I found out that actually, when you lose somebody, the process of mourning, it is related with first you deny, then you get very sad, then you get super angry, and then you liberate. So when you lose a relative or something like that, usually these are the stages, the emotional transformations of the person that goes through grief. But yeah, this is just something that seems having a similar pattern, but I don't know if it's really the case in my life.
mm. Oh, that's very interesting. Um, Anger. We have many episodes talking about your anger management. No, it's anger management. It's a
This
sense
management.
of release. It's a time, a period of time. How do your yeah, yeah, the period of your time. Yes.
Really bad, really painful.
Well, there must be a lot of story about that. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. I don't remember so much, but if I focus myself, I could
Too
really
too angry
find.
to remember.
Well, I think this type of human transformation, when an individual is devoted to this path of knowing himself, it goes to transformation, and these transformations are like different minds, states of mind. It's like the spirit is in some part of the self, and through some very crazy transformation, it relocates to another part of yourself. So you don't have so direct access to the same type of thinking flow and emotional flow and
Mhm.
possibilities that you had before, unless you somehow manage to move your spirit to this previous event. I don't know. This is a super esoteric in a way as an explanation, because people are usually more prone to believe that it's a continuity of the self, or you are just experiencing different things, but it's always you, the same one that is going through different experiences and changing. But I believe that we have vast possibilities, and that we are so continuous because we are fixing one position of all the positions that people have within what means to be a human. Our spirit it is fixated in one position, and that's why we perceive the world as it is, and we have some kind of a continuous character. But there are many types of experiences that you can have where this position is dislocated. You get displaced for some time, and you access to other type of life experience. And then the tendency is that the point where you are um, predominant, predominantly fixed will always pull you back. So you can take a plant, then you can experience life and your body and your emotions and your mind and the world itself from a different perspective as a human. And
Mhm.
then there is some kind of gravitational force to come back to the state that is the most constant in you, no? Which you identified with the self. I am born in this year, and this is me. This were my parents. This happened to me. Uh,
Mm.
so in these very major transformations, which can be, I don't know what, make it the first time you make love, or when you have a child, who knows, or when you move to another culture. There are some um, landmarks in the life of a human that once you cross, you you are in a new mind state of mind, and you can have a memory of what happens in the past, but you usually do not experience anymore the same type of perspective on reality that you used to have before the transformation. So I don't remember so well what I was doing, what I was angry for 10 years, but if I at an emotional way, at an
Mm.
emotional level, but if I make some memory, if it's interesting, I can try to remember it. The
Mm.
events.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. So now you finished your time in the monastery
Yes.
already. So you mentioned there's um, when your house is empty. So we are going to hold it here, okay? So
Mhm.
that it must be it's probably something where based on your sense, based a certain sign, or you just feel that. But we're going to hold it here. So thank you for today's conversation. It was very nice, and thank you everybody for continue listening, following the story, and so I cannot wait to listen to the next story. Uh, next, yes, yes,
I
yeah,
am getting used to it. Today
yes,
I pack it better.
yes. We have to hold it, okay? Yeah, yes,
Yes. I
better.
try to be more organized and succinct in my talking.
So we have this time. Now
This
we
is so
know the
good.
time, the location, and the event. So we're going. Let's continue next time, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Guillermo. Gracias. And
Thank you, okay, Lee, for this opportunity, which is really amazing for me.
it's cool.
Mhm.
Okay. See you next time.
See you next time.
Ciao.